Week 4 is in the books. This is the Magnolia Shine podcast, so we're going to talk all about it. I'm Trellis Williams. Right here with me is the one and only Blake Levine. This is the Magnolia Shine podcast. Blake, what you thinking?
Well, first of all, this season has just continued to provide ups and downs for so many teams, and it's like watching the MLB season or even early college football, where it feels like I know what I'm watching, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, no, you don't. This is one of those years where I thought there were 3 or 4 classes I knew who the championship was going to be and who was going to win it, and now I'm at like one class I think I know. And it is really good. And all of a sudden, 7A is more open than maybe we thought, although I thought Tupelo just didn't play well, and they still won. But it was just, it was good for the sake of high school football.
It absolutely was, and we're going to dive in right now into our Week 4 recap and see who was right more often between the two of us. Listen, we disagreed a lot, Blake, in the last episode. And listen, things went all over the place as well in terms of these results. So, first game was Madison Central defeating Northwest Rankin 31-24. Now, Madison Central went up early. Northwest Rankin cut the lead there at the end. But the Jaguars winning, getting back in the win column, which is very important for their team. We both picked Madison Central to win this game.
Yeah, I think Northwest Rankin is still a year away, but they do have some talent on them. But Madison needed this win more than Northwest Rankin did.
Yeah,
And
I would
I
agree.
hate to say that, right? I hate to say that because, Northwest Rankin's probably thinking to themselves, no, we needed this win more. But, Northwest Rankin kind of has lost the games I expected and won the games I thought they would. So it's kind of like been like, oh, yeah, no, their season's kind of been online. Madison, when you lose to Brookhaven the week before, and we see what ends up happening to Brookhaven this following week where they lose to Macomb, which is, whoa, this whole thing. And it goes, yeah, Madison needed to just bounce back, recover, and they've done enough, but they still didn't show special yet. They're still not at special.
No, I understand what you're saying there. Listen, crazy week. And we'll talk about that Brookhaven game later on. We didn't even pick that game because when I looked at it, I thought that Brookhaven had it in the bag, and so just being straight up. So we're going to talk about that a little later on as well.
I would have picked a 3-touchdown victory.
Me too. I was very shocked by that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Now we got Grenada and Cleveland Central. This game was close. 21-12 win for Grenada. We both picked Grenada to win the game, but it was a very close ball game between these two teams. Cleveland Central showed some good fight there.
Well, all of a sudden, 5A may not be what we thought, because I thought Cleveland Central actually competed really well. It was a game I didn't think they could win, and I said to you, it was a must-play well. And their defense showed up. Their offense obviously struggled a little bit, but Grenada's just a really good team. They're just really good. They're going to be tough to beat for any team in 6A. And Cleveland Central really impressed. I think that they showed the must play well, and they won that battle. I just didn't think they could win the game. Now, they may say to themselves, hey, if we played them again, we totally could beat them. I don't know about that. I think the more they play, maybe the more Grenada maybe beats them. But really impressive with that team. And now all of a sudden, I think to myself, well, West Point's obviously the overwhelming favorite. Is Cleveland Central better than Brookhaven now? So it's just kind of like flip-flopped.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying on that as well. D'Iberville, Pascagoula. This is one we disagreed on. You had picked Pascagoula for the upset. I picked D'Iberville to win this game. D'Iberville wins handedly, 35-14 there, and D'Iberville looking pretty good right now.
Yeah. I'm actually releasing a video later where I rank all the 7A teams from 24 to number 1. And you probably know who 24 and number 1 are. Could you take that guess real quick?
I'm thinking we're looking at Meridian at number 24 and Tupelo at number 1.
No. Wrong M.
Wrong M. Oh man, I'm blanking.
Sadly, Murrah.
I'm sorry. I forgot Murrah was 7A. That's my bad.
Yeah,
no, it's definitely Murrah.
Well, they played independent last year, but they're back in it. But anyways,
that's right.
D'Iberville was higher up on the list than maybe I thought. I mean, good for them, because I thought Pascagoula had played some really good games earlier in this year, and D'Iberville said, "Yeah, no, thank you." We're not on that level. We're some levels up on that. Disappointed in Pascagoula and that effort, but D'Iberville, yeah. I mean, look, I took Pascagoula because I thought, they really impressed me early, but D'Iberville, it's tough to say though, still, because their schedule, when you look at it in totality, just it really isn't that much right now early in the
Yeah.
season. So I don't know if I've learned a lot other than they beat the teams that they should. But I still don't know if they're one or I mean they're definitely not one. I think Ocean Springs is one in there, and I don't think they're better than Gulfport. So is three the highest they can go? So it's tough for me to really fully buy in, but still an impressive win nevertheless.
So Ocean Springs and Picayune, and these are two teams that are up at the top of their classes. Ocean Springs, obviously up towards the top of 7A. Picayune, they're them between them and Grenada. It's like they're the front runners for 6A. And Ocean Springs beats them. It's a shootout, 56-42 win for Ocean Springs. And we talked about this a little bit last week, Blake. You were saying that if one team was to smoke another team, you'd be very disappointed for the team that got smoked. Well, we did not see that here in this game. We saw two very competitive teams going at it, and this just makes me think that Ocean Springs is legitimate title contender in 7A.
Yeah, right now Ocean Springs is the second best team in 7A, right? I mean, I think maybe Brandon has a case, because their one loss is to Tupelo and then another school outside of the state. So yeah, they're 2-2, but what are they really? When we compare them to other teams,
Yeah.
what will they be when they get Tyson Robinson back and healthy and everything's together and clicking? But at the moment, the way that the season, because Ocean Springs has not played necessarily an easy schedule. So all of a sudden, I say to myself, well, they haven't played an easy schedule. They've taken care of business. I think Petal's going to be better. I think Picayune's really good. And I go, wow, okay, this is the favorite in the South at the moment. Now we're at week 4, and they haven't even really opened up full district play as we're going to now get to here. But at the same time, Ocean Springs, yeah, they are the favorite at the moment in the South for 7A. I take nothing away from Picayune. Like I said, this was a must not get smoked for either one of them. I just was gonna, and the fact that it was close enough, in the final score, I felt good about both of those teams walking out.
Yeah, and listen, I have to give you credit. You picked Ocean Springs to win this game. I picked Picayune. Ocean Springs gets the win on that one. Now we got Poplarville and Pearl River Central. Now this is one I picked Poplarville to win this game. You picked the upset on Pearl River Central. Poplarville they just spanked Pearl River Central. It was 49-14. And Pearl River Central, they started off the season 3-0, and but they had not played a team like Poplarville yet, obviously. And the Hornets really took it to them. Also, Poplarville's starting to catch their stride here. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, Poplarville's rebounded from an early season, kind of struggling period.
Yeah.
And the type of I hate to say this because they don't really throw the ball, but yet they're still a timing offense because of the way that and the formation and
The wing tee.
the handoffs going this way, right? It's a lot of timing, even though it's a running game. For Pearl River Central, people were check out Pearl River, check out Pearl River. You're sleeping on Pearl River. Well, I'm still asleep because that way, look, I picked y'all and y'all got crushed. I mean, so now I'm not. So now I'm just gonna sleep for the rest of the season.
Yeah, so Poplarville absolutely dominates Pearl River Central in that matchup. We got Starkville and Lewisville. This is one you picked Starkville to win this one. I picked Lewisville to win this one. And I got to say, pretty surprised with the outcome there. Starkville they handle Lewisville. They beat them by 20 points, nearly a 3-touchdown difference between these two teams. And no shame for Lewisville, given that it's a 3 classification difference between these two teams, But of course, for Lewisville, for the Wildcats, they don't look at any game and think that they should be losing by 3 touchdowns there. But for Starkville, now they're showing they are a good team now because they are really catching their stride.
So obviously the West Point game for Starkville is ugly, right? I mean,
It was.
It's one thing to lose. It's one thing to lose the game, and it's one thing to just be physically manhandled for
Yeah.
for the whole game. However, when you look at Starkville in a vacuum, with the win over Oak Grove, with a win over Lewisville, you're like, yeah, no, that's an impressive 3-1 start. That's an impressive start for the Yellow Jackets, and they're only going to get better. Their offense is elite, and it speaks to West Point's win over them, right? Because it's like, well, where's West Point? And we talked about West Point Tupelo this week. Oh boy, all right, like this is it. That's 1 versus 2
Should be good.
because right, exactly. For Lewisville, they're stuck. My boy Rion Young. If you guys want to watch one of the funniest, live streams, man, he goes off on Saturday morning, and he's just so upset about his high school. I, I was laughing so hard. He said they're not big Lewisville no more. They're just Lewisville. Man, that was bad. Their defense is the worst it's been maybe since Tyrone Shorter has been there. Because even Holmes County Central scored on them. Shannon put some points on them. Everyone's putting points on Lewisville, and they're pantsing them on defense. So Lewisville, if they won the title, would I be surprised? Heck no. They have every tool in the book to still go win 4A. However, that defense is getting shredded right now, and that's just reality.
That's kind of surprising, too, because you're talking about how all these teams are putting points on them. Everybody's putting points on them except for West Point, surprisingly enough. I mean, that was a 9-7 game, but I guess you never know. Week 1 is always different than the rest of the season, so we'll have to keep our eye on Lewisville. I still think that I would say that they are definitely the favorites to be in the championship game coming out of the North. But you got,
I don't know. Trellis, you got to go see Kosciuszko because they have a high-powered offense, speed all over the field.
They
some
have
of the
been good.
fastest kids I've seen. How is Lewisville, if they play like this, they can't stop them. So Lewisville is going to have to score in the 40s or 50s. And to go into a game where you feel like you got to score 40 or 50, that's a tough mindset.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, and then you talk about Columbia down in the South, and all they do is win and win convincingly.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Of course, with Columbia, if they play Columbia, it would be in the championship game. I have Columbia as the favorite to win the championship, but I'm talking about coming out of the North. But Kosciuszko is a very good point. The thing is, though, is that, listen, they play Starkville. And Starkville's got a good offense. We know that about Starkville, that they can put points up on the board. 36 points it's a lot of points, but it's not an unimaginable amount of points. I mean, and you're losing to Starkville. It is, but I just don't think in 4A they're going to be letting everybody score in the 40s and 50s.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you could look this up really quickly, but I'll talk while you're looking it up. How many points did Holmes County Central put on them? Because again, it just feels like week in and week out, the defense is getting worse as we're going. And I think that's just a concerning part for Lewisville, is just that it feels like it's not going in the right direction. However, the reality is they're probably going to win their district. They'll be a 1 seed. They'll have an easy first round game. So the concern is not how far, that they're going to make the playoffs or how far they're going to go, but it just doesn't feel like it's fully there. You got that score up?
I do. Yeah, but 45, 53 to 45 was the final score. Yeah, so 45 points.
That's a 5A school. I mean,
yeah. And
it's a lot of points they're giving up.
Yeah, no, that's definitely going to be a concern for them. And now they're going to take on Noxubee on Friday, so that'll be a big test for them as well.
Hey, the Toothpick Bowl. The Toothpick Bowl. What a name. What a rivalry name.
The Toothpick Bowl. All right, so that'll be on Friday. Lewisville at Noxubee. But we'll keep moving forward. Talk about Callaway and Terry. Man, sore subject. The Terry Bulldogs lose to the Callaway Chargers. Definitely an upset win for Callaway. We both picked Terry, and we were both wrong on that one. Listen, Callaway controlled the line of scrimmage, and this is something that, I watched Callaway play Grenada, and the thing is, Callaway, they battled well on the line of scrimmage with Grenada, but the thing is, fumbling that football in the red zone multiple times against Grenada, the Grenada Chargers, being a seasoned championship team, not going to let that beat them, and so they handle Callaway. Well, in this game, Terry was unable to score in the red zone, had problems with the offense finishing drives. And listen, it cost them. And losing 16-6 to Callaway there. Tough loss for Terry, but of course, in their region this year, it's still a pretty wide open region.
Yeah, that was really disappointing for me with Terry. That was disappointing. I thought for sure they were going to win, but let me shift the focus here. Callaway,
Yeah,
interesting team now. Interesting. I mean, I, I'm buying in because you said that O
I would
line,
say
D
so.
line, those some big boys. They have the size, and they're only going to get better. Offensive line play only gets better throughout the season, more than maybe any other position because you're working with the guys next to you, you're picking up blitzes, you're doing those things, and people don't realize wide receivers tend to come into the season they're ready to play, right? They're just athletes by
Yeah.
nature. Quarterbacks and offensive line play tend to get better as the season goes. Callaway by the end could really lean on some people just because of that size, just that amount of the weight that they got.
Definitely. And Callaway's definitely a playoff team when I look at their region. The question, of course, Warren Central is the leader of that region. That's going to be a tough team to play. But then you got Ridgeland in there as well. Now the thing is Ridgeland and then Neshoba Central and teams like that. So I don't know how I can't think of how Neshoba's doing right now.
Neshoba's bad. They're bad.
Okay, so really it's it, and then Canton's in there as well, and of course I saw both these teams play Terry. I saw Terry and Canton, Terry Callaway. Callaway's definitely better than Canton,
But
100%.
the only thing is that Canton coach was the Callaway coach, and
It
that's
was,
going to be a game. Just
yeah.
the environment and the heart of that game's got to be big.
Oh yeah, and he coached Callaway's spring game and everything. They had the coaching change after in the summer, so and got to give credit to Coach Montre Edwards there at Callaway because he's picked that up. Now they're 3-1 with their only loss being to Grenada. It's a great start to the season for the Chargers.
Man, Callaway's for real. Callaway's for real.
So that's pretty good for Callaway. Terry falls to 3-1 on that one. Petal and Gulfport. This is another one. We both got this one wrong. Petal and Gulfport. We both picked Gulfport to win this game, and Petal able to win 25-24. And listen, Petal's been losing the last couple of weeks. Lost to Ocean Springs and Columbia, which are two undefeated teams. Columbia's 4A though, and they got hammered by Columbia, so that was not something that they wanted to happen. But big game here for Petal, getting this win over Gulfport, who's a very promising 7A team as well.
All right, so hear me out. So normally we would look at the 7A South. 1 through 3 is going to beat most of the playoff teams on the coast. However, that's not the case right now because Gulfport, maybe even D'Iberville, Ocean Springs, there's a world where the coast finally wins 3 of the 4 games, in the playoff series when they go in
Yeah,
that first
yeah,
round. I know that Petal wins that game. That's a 1 point game,
yeah.
which
It's very
tells
close.
me Petal is this much better. This much. So for me, Gulfport walks away with a quote unquote moral victory. I hate moral victories. But they walk away with the quote unquote moral victory here. And Petal walks away with the victory and feeling really good. I think both those teams should be really excited right now for the rest of the season. They should both be very excited.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And I know that that's a big relief for Petal because Petal's coming off 2 losses that were tough. And so Petal getting back in the win column with the win over Gulfport there. Then we got JA, Jackson Academy, taking on Hartfield. For Jackson Academy, this is like the first game against one of the top tier private schools in the state. The defending back-to-back champions in the Hartfield Academy Hawks. They beat them 41-22. Early in the game, Hartfield struck first. But Jackson Academy able to win 41-22. And, they show that they're a strong team this year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. At this point, Jackson Academy passed with flying colors. That doesn't mean that Hartfield can't beat them in a playoff setting where they meet again, and maybe they make some adjustments, whatever. Who's
Yeah.
who's healthy, who's not. I mean, I'm not discounting Hartfield at this point, but Jackson Academy look, it's MRA in them right now. All things created equal, home games in the playoffs. Those are the two teams, and guess what we get this week? We get them both, and they play each other. and we're going to know who the current best team in the private schools are. And it's just a wonderful battle. I almost, man, I'm going to be locked into that game.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting next week. And then this was the game of the week, folks. And this is the game that we had our dispute over. Tupelo and Oxford. And listen, you called me out, man, for making that pick, but it turned out to not be way off base. But I was still wrong. But it wasn't way off base because it finished very close. It was 20-13, a touchdown difference between Tupelo and Oxford. It was in Oxford, which is why I picked them. I mean, I wouldn't have picked them if it was at Tupelo. But it was at Oxford. And listen, they were able to ride that. They started off with the lead. And Blake, you're able to come out still with the mustache.
Okay. So here's the thing about that game. Tupelo had about 180 yards worth of penalties. 180.
Oh,
Okay.
that's bad.
They did everything to lose that game. Everything. Tupelo played awful. Awful. Oxford played pretty well. Maybe not their A game, but they played a B. And Oxford took a 13-0 lead. They spotted them 13 points. Did everything to not come back. And Tupelo walks away, 7-point win. It's unbelievable where they stand right now. They don't even need to really play. I mean, I don't even think they had I don't think they had another passing yard in the first half. Bobo, their running back, had all 3 touchdowns. I mean, they did everything. I mean, it's so super impressive. Tupelo's so serious because they can go play their D- game, and unless you play your A game, you can't beat them.
Yeah, so Tupelo, I mean, listen, that was a big test for him. Just being able to take some adversity.
Max Preps now has them in their top 25.
Oh, in the nation? Wow. And that's awesome. That's all. Because if you think about that, there are 50 states in the United States, and
Yeah.
states like Texas and Georgia and Florida, you would think they have multiple teams. So having a Mississippi team in the top 25 is actually really awesome when you put it into context. So congratulations to the Golden Wave, and listen. Great. Still a great win for Tupelo because every win is a great win, especially when listen. They're stacking their schedule up with tough team after tough team after tough team, and they're still handling it.
Now they got West Point.
Yeah, they got West Point.
Let's go. And they're gonna have to play Madison. They're gonna have to play Starkville. If they go undefeated this year, what do you want from them? They played teams out of state. They played the best teams in state. I mean, right? Because they played the best teams in their class. They played teams outside of the state. They played arguably the second best team in the state, West Point. So if they walk away with an undefeated season, there's no dispute. However, if West Point beats Tupelo, I don't know if Tupelo can ever catch them again because at that point West Point has the win, and I don't see West Point losing after that. So interesting, just a thought.
Seriously, and West Point we have not seen. Listen, Knoxville gave them a good match, West Point, but and so we know that they are vulnerable to a close game. Tupelo is the team, and just the size that Tupelo. I mean, it's football, man. It's like if a team is it, it's hard to knock them off. But you see, sometimes when you're also it, you can get it done. So we'll see. West Point Tupelo on Friday should be interesting.
Yeah, because when people talk about when South Panola finally had their 89-game winning streak snapped.
Yeah.
When you really break down who was on that Meridian team and you look back and you go, okay, I get it. Right?
That was the Tyler Russell year, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
They had a couple running backs that were Division I guys, right? Like they had a roster and you look back and you go, okay, I get it. Right? Does West Point have those guys where you look back at 10 years from now and you go, man, we just didn't know that they had those dudes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, folks, that wraps up our high school games, our 10 high school games from the week. And Blake, man, you beat me again. But you beat me by one game. You were 6-4 this week. I was 5-5.
I'm mad about 6-4.
That's a
I'm
tough
not mad.
week.
That's a tough week.
It was a
That's
tough
a.
week.
And by the way, this week's arguably harder.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, listen, we didn't really know how hard this week was going to be, to be honest with you, because we look at some of these
I didn't
scores.
think it was that hard. I didn't think it was that hard when we got into it. Now I'm looking back, going, "Oh boy."
Yeah, no, definitely. And so now, our running tally. All right, Blake. So you're 27-13 in 4 weeks,
Okay, I'll take that.
and
I'll take 27-13.
I'm 21-19. I'm barely over 50-50 picks. So listen, I might have to go all favorites this week, man, just to get my just to get my
Good
percentage.
idea. Good idea. Look, hey Trellis, there's nothing wrong with picking favorites.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, anyway, it's just, man, it's fun to go find the right upset to pick. And listen, that Oxford Tupelo one, I had an inkling, and there was an inkling there. It just didn't work out.
They had a shot. They had a shot. I mean, it's all right.
Yeah.
But Trellis, can we talk about what? Can we talk about one more topic before we go?
Yes. Let's go ahead.
So Ethan Long, he played for Hattiesburg last year, 6'8", has had
Oh
off
yeah, I
Southern
remember.
Miss, Josh is right. So he's transferring to a school in Arkansas. And now Mississippi has lost the Gatorade Player of the Year for the girls last year to a school in Tennessee. They lost one
Yeah.
of the Williams brothers, one to Jackson State, one to
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee transferring. Now Ethan Long goes to Arkansas, and this is now the sixth consecutive year where we had multiple kids leaving the state for high school basketball and going to academies, going to other schools, public schools, private schools. I mean, you name it. It's not anything weird. I mean, there was, you think about some of the kids that have moved in the past, whether it's to Virginia. I think Houston had a player on their team that was in the finals last year that was from Mississippi, but then went to high school, around that area.
Yeah.
So disaster time, disaster.
Yeah, that's not really good at all. Um, it's interesting, man, because basketball's a whole different scene because it's so much like, and football's hype driven and everything like that, but basketball's so hype driven because you got so many guys who can ball, but you want to find that stage where people can actually see you play. And in Mississippi, we have seen that in the recruiting circle for Mississippi, it's tough, man. We get about one or two guys going D1 in a class, and other than that, everybody else is JUCO. And so it's kind of what we're looking at. I was looking at the Mississippi Top 100, or their like the recruits or whatever. I saw one player on there. It's just, you know what I mean?
Sam Funches, right?
Yeah,
the kid
that's
from
right.
Germantown. Yeah,
That's right. And he's gonna go. I mean, 7 feet tall though. I mean, he's gonna go. He's gonna go. He's gonna go D1. Obviously, he's gonna go major D1. But like everybody else, we've got great basketball. We got great basketball players. But Mississippi is just sadly overlooked, and therefore we have players that will leave to go to other places. And big cities, man, basketball is a big city sport.
Yeah, I get that, but in today's age, you don't get missed. You don't get missed. I mean,
Yeah,
you play these AU tournaments. I mean, go play for your high school. Like, go play for play for the love of the game at some point here, because I don't blame a family from doing it, right, or the kid from doing it, right. Like,
yeah,
this is not a shot at them because I'm not saying I wouldn't do it in right. I'm saying I
yeah,
might do it, right, if I had a kid. But at the same time, I think it's really sad for the state because when football players don't leave, we know that. Baseball players, not only do they not leave, but kids move for baseball to this state, right? Because it's so good. Can basketball, what's it going to take in the coaching scene, for the investment scene, for schools to take it seriously? Again, because it wasn't always like this.
yeah. It wasn't. But here's a good example, man. Like, so, I mean, take Elijah Martin, who's now in the NBA now. He was on Florida's national championship team last year. He was overlooked, but he's an NBA player now. He was at North Pike. He was
But
JUCO.
he didn't leave the state. He didn't leave the state.
He didn't. This is what I'm saying. Hey, man. So this is what I'm saying though. he went to JUCO, then he went to FAU, and then he went to Florida. He just moved on up. But he did get overlooked by D1 schools. In Mississippi, a lot of times out of high school, these guys are getting overlooked, and later on they're showing how good they are. I'm not saying that people should be leaving. What I think is that our people should stay, because when you stay, that builds up the coaches that are going to come to Mississippi, instead of people just being like, you need to leave Mississippi so that we can go recruit you. Instead, it's like they come to Mississippi. Make them come to Mississippi. So I agree with you, but all I'm saying is that the whole you don't get missed thing, I mean, listen, we've seen it. We've seen it. It took him 5 years to get around to he's a national champion.
But that's a unique situation. But that's a unique situation. You know, a kid that was a really good football player, right? He was playing all the sports, and you know, maybe he didn't fully invest into basketball the way that some of these other kids do. I haven't seen the success stories really of the kid that moves in high school and ends up in the NBA. I don't like
Yeah.
maybe they can comment that below and say, oh, this kid moved and it all worked out, because it seems like the kids that are working out the most from Mississippi, Elijah Martin, Josh Hubbard, are the ones that stayed. But then we think about the ones that moved. I mean, there was a kid at Terry that moved, you know, back in the day, and
Devin
who
Reed.
knows where? I don't. Where's he? I mean, my point being, there was a kid at
he's at Nichols. I believe he's at Nichols now.
There was a kid. There was a kid from Greenville High School that ended up going to Virginia to play at one of those big academies, and then I think he ended up at Mississippi Delta and didn't even work there. Like, I don't see the success. I don't see the success. Now the girls, it's a little bit different. You know, those girls, if you're dominant, you're dominant, and there's only a handful that are super dominant. But my point being, especially when it comes to the boys, is I'm just not seeing the success stories. I don't understand what the difference is. It seems like it's more successful if you just tough it out and you grind it out in the scene that you grew up in.
No, I couldn't agree. Listen, I gotta say, I totally agree with you. All I'm saying is that the logic behind it. All I'm saying is the logic behind it is different. Josh Hubbard was able to catch the scene pretty well, where he was popular and he was a big time guy. But the thing is, that's why we love Josh Hubbard so much, man. He's a true Mississippi guy. He's a true Mississippi guy. And I had the pleasure of being able to interview him. He's a great guy. I actually played against him in high school, which was interestingly enough. But you know, man, he's just and went to Mississippi State after that as well. And before that, he was going to go to Ole Miss. He's a committed Mississippian, and so we like people like that for sure. But what I'm saying is that we've had these issues, but guys like that staying help it come back.
I agree.
Yeah, so for sure, and that's a pretty interesting topic as well. And so listen, folks. We were going to talk about this, Macomb and Brookhaven. We didn't talk about that. Listen, we weren't going to talk about it going into this week because we didn't think that was one of the big top 10 games, really. Maybe you did. I kind of wrote down the games that we talked about. But Macomb beats Brookhaven 18-16, but this isn't a fluke. Macomb is undefeated, and they've been dominating the teams they've been playing. Are they a 4A contender?
I don't know yet. However, one of the things about Macomb is we always kind of laughed at them because their schedule was always so easy. They'd go 10-0, 9-1, and then lose in the first, second round of the playoffs. And you were like, they got to play someone in the regular season. They got to play somebody. It's worth the loss to just play, up. And they did, and they won. And now they're going to be better for it in the long run.
I think so too. So we're going to keep our eye on Macomb. It's just I have a tough time seeing them knock off Columbia. However, they just knocked off Brookhaven though, and like Brookhaven is like, I mean, Macomb's 4A, Columbia's 4A, and we're talking about a team that we have up in our leaderboard for 5A.
Yeah.
Of course, them losing to Macomb makes me wonder if they're going to be able to compete with like West Point, but that'd be a championship game. We're talking about the South.
Yeah.
I still am high on Brookhaven though, but man, Macomb, I think that's a team to watch. I think that at least deserves a closer look.
Absolutely.
For sure. Folks, listen, we appreciate you joining us for the Magnolia Shine podcast. I'm Trellis Williams. This is Blake Levine. We are on every Monday and Thursday as well as Wednesday. And Wednesday, we got college football to talk about. And listen, Mississippi State and Ole Miss are both still undefeated. And so they continue on. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more on Wednesday. Final thoughts, Blake.
No, just a really good week coming up, whether it's college football, high school football. I mean, these are some real tests. Ole Miss, LSU, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Jackson State taking on Southern.
Yep.
Just a lot of good college football. High school, we got West Point, Tupelo. I mean, it's just you got to tune into the shows later this week because it's as good as it's going to be.
Yeah, you definitely need to check us out. Hit the subscribe button, turn the notifications on. We're about to be cranking out a lot of content covering high school football in the state of Mississippi as well as college football. I'm Trellis Williams alongside the one and only Blake Levine. This is the Magnolia Shine podcast. We out.